That call came on a Tuesday morning while I was reviewing quarterly reports for Sterling Hospitality Group. Yelled from across the Riverside Country Club lot. Buzzed through. Buy a proper
Mr.
vehicle
Sterling,
or
you
stay
have a
away
call
from
from
Elegant Events Wedding Planning.
I glanced at my keys,
I
then
almost
at my
declined.
2014 Honda Civic.
Then I remembered. It wasn't
My
damaged.
younger brother Marcus was getting married next month.
It
I paid the
perfectly,
deposit
but it
6
definitely
months
looked
ago
out of
when I
place
heard they
among
were
the
struggling with
BMWs,
costs,
Mercedes,
and Porsches
filling the
$50,000
space
during
to
our
ensure
monthly
my brother
family
had the
meetup.
wedding he dreamed of.
The vehicle works well.
The family
Marcus,
never knew it
I
came
replied
from me.
softly.
David
That's
Sterling
irrelevant.
speaking. His
Mr.
expression
Sterling
showed
this
deep
is Amanda from
mortification.
Elegant Events.
Do you notice what
I'm
others
calling
drive
about the
here?
Henderson Miller wedding next
Do you
month.
realize people evaluate
Her
our whole
voice
family
sounded
by what they
strained.
see? I have
Our
some
sister
uncomfortable
Victoria
news
agreed.
about your
From next to her
invitation.
shining white Range Rover.
I set down my pen.
Emma,
You're 31
go
now.
ahead.
Time to
Your
mature
family
and purchase
contacted
something
us
showing your
yesterday.
position. They've asked
What
us to remove
position?
you from the guest list entirely.
Marcus laughed with bitterness.
They said there was a family
She's employed
disagreement
at some
and they
tiny
specifically
nonprofit
requested that you not attend the
$35,000
ceremony
annually.
or
At her
reception.
age, I already own
The
a
words
Porsche
hit
and
like a
resided
physical
in a
blow,
penthouse.
but I kept my voice steady.
Let
me
see.
step back and describe how
However,
we reached this
Amanda
situation.
continued quickly.
Our monthly
They
family
also
meetup
asked
at Riverside
if they could
Country
keep the
Club had begun
$50,000
3 hours
deposit you
before,
paid for
and
the
it had been
event.
catastrophic from when I
Mrs.
entered the lot.
Henderson said the family had
Dad
already
been
spent
standing
that
by
money
the
on
entrance,
other wedding
examining
expenses.
his gold Rolex with clear
For a moment,
irritation.
I said nothing.
Emma, you're 20
Through my
minutes
office
behind
window,
schedule. I could see the city.
Sorry, Dad.
Skyline. I got delayed
Half of
completing
which I
a
own through
project
various
proposal.
investment companies.
Another one of your
My
computer
family
ventures?
had no
idea that their disappointing
Victoria
son,
had
who they
asked,
claimed never amounted to anything,
dismissively as
controlled
she
a
approached in her
hospitality
designer
empire
heels
worth
and
$3.8 billion
outfit.
How are the
Mr.
keyboard
Sterling,
classes
are you there?
progressing?
Yes,
I teach
I said
complete
calmly.
technology skills to
I'd like you
disadvantaged
to cancel
children.
the entire wedding.
Basic charity work.
I'm sorry, what?
Marcus had added,
Cancel the
adjusting his
Henderson Miller
$500
wedding.
tie. All of it?
When will you get serious
The
about
venue,
creating
the
a real
catering,
career?
the flowers, everything.
Inside the club, the questioning
Amanda's
had started
voice rose in
earnestly.
panic. We've been placed
Sir,
at the
I don't
family's regular
understand.
table in the main dining
You're
area,
not the groom.
surrounded by the city's elite
You can't
business
just
families.
Amanda.
The
I
Hendersons
interrupted gently.
occupied the adjacent table.
What's the name of your company?
He served as mayor. Elegant Events Wedding
She owned
Planning.
3 boutique hotels.
And who owns Elegant
the
Events?
Pattersons sat across.
I heard papers
The
rustling.
space. Both were
Um,
surgeons who'd created
Sterling
a private
Event
practice
Holdings.
empire.
And
The
who owns
Williams
Sterling
held court
Event near the
holdings.
windows? Real estate
A longer
moguls who
pause.
developed half the city's upscale
Sterling
neighborhoods.
Hospitality Group.
Look around,
That's
Emma,
right.
Mom had said,
And
gesturing
I'm David
subtly
Sterling,
at the other families.
CEO
and sole owner of
These
Sterling
are accomplished
Hospitality
people.
Group. Their
So
children
yes,
drive suitable
I can cancel
cars,
this
wear
wedding.
quality clothes,
In
live in
fact,
respectable
let me
homes.
be more
specific. I live in a perfectly
Cancel the
adequate
reservation
home,
at
a
the
starter
Grand
Harbor
House.
Hotel as well. In Millbrook,
That's
Victoria
one of mine,
had mocked.
too.
That's
And
where
symphonic
college graduates
catering,
live
also
for 2
mine.
years before advancing
The
to
flower
something
arrangements
better. From Premier Botanical,
Some of us
my
prioritize
photography
mortgage-free
package from
living
Lens
over
and
impressing
neighbors. I'd
Light
responded.
studios,
Mine as well.
That's when Marcus had really
Mr.
begun.
Sterling, I had no idea
Mortgage-free,
you were.
Emmy,
You're 31.
There's more,
Amanda.
You should be creating
The
wealth,
bachelor
not
party
just avoiding
reservation
debt.
at Harborview Resort.
You should be investing
My
in
the rehearsal
appreciating
dinner
assets,
at Coastal
not just
Elite
surviving.
Restaurant. I
Might
am
even the
investing in
limousine
what?
service
Your
they booked
Honda?
through.
Victoria
Prestige
had laughed.
transportation.
That thing
Mine.
is 10 years old. I could hear her
It's
breathing heavily on the other end of the
7 years
line.
old, and it's dependable.
But sir, the wedding is
Dad
in 3
had
weeks.
shaken his
head sadly. There are 200 guest
Sweetheart,
deposits
we're trying to
paid.
help you understand something
Cancel
important.
everything. Success
Refund
isn't
any
just
deposits
about being
paid by
comfortable.
guests for accommodations.
It's about creating something
Send
impressive,
the Henderson
something
and
that
Miller
demands
families a bill
respect.
for the full amount they owe.
Like
Mine
what
is my
Marcus
original
has created.
$50,000.
I'd asked. Deposit, which
Marcus
I'm keeping
had
as
smiled.
a cancellation fee. Proudly. Mr. Sterling,
Exactly.
this will destroy the wedding. I'm a senior
There's
partner
no way
at
they can
Henderson
find
Morrison
alternative
and vendors
vendors
this close to the date. I bill $400
That's not my
an
problem
hour.
anymore.
I drive
After
a Porsche
hanging up,
911.
I sat back in my chair.
I live in a downtown
28
penthouse
years
and
old,
I'm closing
and
on
my
a family
vacation
still
home
saw
in
me
Aspen
as
next
the college dropout who threw his
And
life away when I
Victoria.
left Harvard Business School
I owned
to
3
start my
high-end
first
boutiques
company
in the shopping district.
They had
Victoria
no idea
had
that the
announced.
small event planning business
My
I
stores
mentioned
generated
casually over
$1.2
the
million
years in revenue last
had
year.
grown into one of the largest
That's
hospitality
impressive. I'd
empires
said
on the
genuinely.
East Coast.
Now tell them
My
what you
phone
do.
buzzed
Mom
with a
had
text
prompted
from my
hopefully.
mother.
I
David,
run
we
educational
need to talk
programs
about your
that teach
recent
technology
behavior.
skills to children
Your
who can't
attitude
afford
toward
computers
Marcus
at home.
and Jennifer has been
The
unacceptable.
table had fallen silent.
We think it's best if you
Around
don't
us.
attend the wedding.
I could see
We'll be
members of
keeping
other
the money
prominent
you
families enjoying their
contributed
conversations
since
about
we've
business
already
deals,
spent it.
investment portfolios,
I smiled
and
and typed
vacation
back.
homes.
Understood.
That's nice, Dad had said
Enjoy
finally.
the celebration.
But what's your
What my
5-year plan?
family didn't know was that I'd been
What are you
quietly
building my
toward.
empire for 8 years.
I am It started
Building
when I
toward
dropped
helping
out of
more
Harvard.
children gain access to technology
Not because
education,
I was failing,
Marcus
but
had
because
sighed
I'd
heavily.
identified a gap in the luxury
Emma,
event
that's
market.
not a business plan.
While my family
That's
saw
a
my
hobby
decision
with good intentions.
as giving up,
I
was
disagree.
actually walking away from a guaranteed
Look, I
corporate job
appreciate
to
that
bet
you want to
everything
help
on my
people,
vision.
Victoria had said in
The
the
first
condescending
condescending
tone
Sterling
she
events
perfected over the
began
years,
in my
but
studio
you can't live
apartment.
your whole life as a
I
volunteer.
planned corporate gatherings and
You need
small
to think
weddings,
about your
working
future,
18
your
hour
retirement,
days, your ability,
and sleeping on my
to
office
contribute
couch.
meaningfully to society.
My family's response,
I believe
David's
I am contributing
going through a
meaningfully
phase.
by what metric Marcus
He'll
had
be
challenged.
back to real work soon.
How many people
Within
have you
2
employed?
years, I bought my first
How much
property,
tax
a
revenue
small event
have you
venue
generated?
that was struggling financially.
What kind of economic
My
impact
family
are you
still
making?
thought I was playing entrepreneur
I
while
started
they
to
focused on my
answer,
brother
but
Marcus,
Dad had
who was
cut me
following
off.
the traditional path
The
through law
point
school.
is, sweetheart,
We're
by year
concerned
4,
about your
I owned
long-term
6
prospects
venues across 3 states.
Teaching computer basics
Sterling
to kids
Hospitality
is
Group
admirable,
was
but it's
born,
not
and I started
sustainable as a
acquiring
career.
complementary businesses.
Why not?
Catering companies,
Because
florists,
nonprofits
photographers
don't pay well.
transportation
Mom had explained
services,
patiently.
every aspect of the luxury
Because
event
you are
industry. Not
my
building
family
any
remained
equity or
oblivious.
ownership. At
Because
holiday
you're
gatherings,
essentially limiting yourself to
they'd
whatever
ask
grants
about my
and
little
donations
business
you can
while
secure.
discussing Marcus' promising
That's when
career
Mrs.
at his law
Henderson
firm.
had walked over from the next
When
table,
I bought my first
smiling
hotel,
warmly
a
at my
boutique property
parents.
downtown, I mentioned
Robert
it casually
Linda,
as
how lovely
expanding
to
into
see you both.
accommodations. And Marcus,
They nodded politely
congratulations
and
on making
changed
senior partner.
the subject.
The mayor was just telling me
The real
about the
growth
brilliant
came
legal
in
work
years
you did on
6
the
and
waterfront
7.
development project.
I acquired struggling
Marcus had
hospitality
beamed.
companies during the economic
Thank you,
downturn,
Mrs.
rebuilding them
Henderson.
into profitable enterprises.
It was a complex transaction,
Harborview
but we
Resort,
managed to
Grand
structure
Harbor
it favorably
Hotel
for
the
all
entire
parties.
coastal elite restaurant
And
chain.
Victoria,
All.
I adore what you've done
Companies
with your
my
newest
family had
boutique.
heard of, never
The
realizing
window
their disappointing
displays
son
are
owned them.
absolutely stunning.
My phone started
Thank you
ringing
so
30
much.
minutes after my
We're
conversation with
actually
Amanda.
expanding.
David,
Into
it was my
accessories
father's next
voice,
quarter.
tense and confused.
Mrs. Henderson had
I
then
just
turned
got
to
a
me
call from
with
some
polite
woman
interest.
saying our wedding venue was canceled.
And Emma, your parents are
There
always
must
so
be some
proud of you.
mistake. What
No
field are you
mistake,
in,
Dad?
The table
What
had
do you
gone
mean,
quiet.
no mistake?
I could see
This
my
is
family
ridiculous.
tensing, waiting to see how
We
I'd
have
handle
a
the
contract.
question.
I
A
work in
contract with
educational
Sterling Event
technology,
Holdings,
I'd said
which is
simply.
owned by Sterling Hospitality
Oh,
Group,
how
which is
interesting.
owned by me. Are you with one
The
of the
line
tech
went
companies
quiet for
downtown?
several seconds.
I work independently,
David,
focusing
what are you
on underserved
talking
communities.
about?
That's wonderful.
I'm talking about the fact
It's
that you
so
can let my
important to give
invitation to
back.
my own brother's wedding
After
while asking
Mrs.
to keep the
Henderson had
$50,000
returned to her
I paid
table,
for it.
my family had looked at me
So,
with a mixture
I can let everything else
of pity and
you
frustration.
paid for the wedding.
Do you see
The
problem?
venue, the catering, the
Victoria
hotel
had
blocks,
asked.
the flowers.
When successful
The
people ask
photography,
about your
the rehearsal
career,
dinner,
you have to
the
give vague
bachelor party,
apologetic
the
answers.
transportation, all of it
I
goes
wasn't
through companies I
apologetic.
own.
You said you work
Congratulations,
independently,
Dad.
Marcus had pointed
You
out.
just uninvited the person
That's
who was
code for
paying for your
unemployed.
son's entire wedding.
I am.
Another long
Not
silence.
unemployed, but you're not really
David,
employed either.
I think there's
Dad
been a
has said.
misunderstanding.
You're doing
No
freelance work,
misunderstanding.
project to project.
You made
grant
it
to
clear
grant.
I'm not welcome at
There's
family
no
events.
stability, no growth potential,
So,
no real business
my
foundation.
companies aren't welcome to provide
The
services
conversation
for
had
family
continued
events
like
either.
this for another hour, with
Companies.
my family systematically dismantling
David, what
every
companies?
aspect of
You
my
planned
life
parties?
choices. My
almost
career was
laughed.
unsustainable. After 8 years,
My income
he
was
still thought I
inadequate.
planned birthday parties. My living situation
Dad,
was
I owned
embarrassing.
Sterling Hospitality Group.
My car was a reflection
We
of
control
failure.
47 venues,
The final
23
straw had
restaurants,
come when we were
12
leaving the
hotels,
restaurant.
6 catering companies,
At least
and
promise
11
us you'll
event
think
service
about making
providers
some
across
changes.
7 states.
Mom had pleaded as we walked
We
toward the
generated
parking lot.
$1.2 billion in
What
revenue
kind of
last
changes?
year.
Get a real job with a
impossible.
real company, Marcus
Check.
had. Our corporate website. Something in
Check the
corporate training
business
or
registry.
educational consulting. Check Forbes list
Use
of
your
fastest
skills in a
growing
way that
private
pays
companies.
properly
And buy a decent
We
car.
were number 17 last year.
Victoria had added, something
I heard
that doesn't
muffled
make people feel
conversation
sorry
in the
for you.
background.
That's when
Mom
Marcus
had
had
joined the
exploded
call.
about my Honda, shouting
David,
loud enough for half the parking
Mom's
lot
voice
to hear.
came through shaky and
Now,
uncertain.
30 minutes later,
We
I
had
was
no
driving
idea
home
you were
with Marcus' red
successful.
Porsche. You never
Following
told us.
close behind me in my rearview
I tried
mirror.
to tell you. He'd clearly
Every
decided that our
family
conversation wasn't
gathering
finished.
for 8
Probably
years.
planning
I
to
tried to
deliver
share
one
what I
final
was
lecture
building.
about responsibility
Remember
and
when I
realistic
mentioned buying the
expectations.
Harborview Resort?
I lived in
You
Millbrook,
said it was
a
nice that I was
middle-class
staying
neighborhood.
busy.
That
When
Marcus
I told you
and
about
Victoria
expanding
both
into
considered
hotels,
beneath their
you
standards.
asked when I was going to get a real job.
The houses
but
were
you dropped
modest
out of
but
Harvard to
well-maintained
build this
with small
empire.
yards and single-car
I
garages.
saw an opportunity and I took it.
It was exactly the kind
While
of place
Marcus
that
was
successful
studying contract
professionals
law,
moved
I
away
was
from a
writing completing contracts that generated millions in revenue.
As I pulled into my driveway,
my father
I could
cleared
see
Marcus
his throat.
parking. David,
behind me,
surely we can
already
work
shaking
something
his
out.
head at the sight of my simple
Marcus's
two-story
wedding
house
is no longer my concern.
It was painted white with
You
blue shutters,
uninvited me,
had a small
remember?
front porch, and looked
You
like
made it
every
clear
other
that my
house on the
presence would
block.
somehow diminish your perfect
Nothing
family
impressive,
celebration.
nothing that would command respect.
We didn't know.
At country club gatherings,
because you never bothered to actually
Marcus got
listen
out of
to
his
what I was
Porsche
telling
and
you.
walked toward me with the
You
determined
saw a
stride of
Harvard
someone who'd
dropout
spent
and
the
decided
entire
I was
drive
a
preparing his arguments.
failure.
Emma,
You
I
never
followed
looked
you because we
deeper.
need to finish this
My
conversation.
phone buzzed with another call.
What conversation?
Amanda, again,
The one about,
Dad.
I need to take this.
Your future.
About making
David,
better
wait.
choices. I
He
switched
gestured
to the
at
other
my
line.
house.
Amanda,
Look at this
Mr.
place.
Sterling, I've been getting
It's
calls
fine for a
all
starter
morning,
home,
but you've been here
Your
for
brother,
4 years.
your parents,
even the bride's
When are
family.
you going to upgrade?
They're all asking
When are you
about
going to
rebooking.
start building real equity?
And sir, with 3
I
weeks
own this
notice,
house outright,
it's impossible.
Marcus.
Every
That's not
quality
the
venue
point.
in the region is booked
The
solid.
point is growth, progression,
the catering
moving up
companies
in the
are
world.
committed to other events.
He looked at my Honda
There
sitting
just
in the
aren't
driveway.
alternatives available, and that car needs
What
to
about
go.
the Grandview Manor?
I don't care if it
That's
runs fine.
one of your properties.
It
too,
makes you
sir.
look like you're struggling,
And it's already booked
I'm
for
not
that weekend,
struggling,
right?
Then prove
Well,
it. Then they'll need to figure
show me
something
one
else
thing
out
in your life that demonstrates
Mr.
success.
Sterling, your mother called crying.
One thing that shows you're building
She
wealth.
said there are
instead of just
200
scraping
people
by.
invited.
Family
I
flying
looked
in
at
from
my
across
brother,
the country.
who had spent the entire evening
She's
lecturing
begging
for
me
about
any
appearances
solution.
and status symbols.
I considered
Who
this.
was so
Any
concerned about
solution?
what other people thought that
Yes.
he couldn't see past his own
Sir.
assumptions. All right,
Marcus,
since you're so
here's
concerned
what
about
we'll do.
cars, would you like to
They
see
can
my
have the
collection?
wedding
At the Grandview Manor,
Your
my
collection.
smallest venue. He snorted.
Reception capacity for
What?
80 people maximum.
Do you have 2 Hondas
Basic
hidden somewhere?
catering package.
I walked to my
House
garage
flowers.
and pressed the button on my key
Staff
fob.
photographer only.
The large door began
Total
to
cost $200,000
rise
paid
slowly.
in advance.
These are my weekend
Sir,
cars.
that's 4
I said
times
as the
what they
door
were paying
revealed the
before
contents
and
of my
half the
garage.
space.
Inside
That's
the spacious
offer.
3-car garage,
They
sat a
wanted to
midnight
exclude
blue
me from their
Lamborghini
celebration
Huracan
while
Evo,
keeping
a
my
silver
money.
Aston Martin DB11,
Now they can
and a
include
black
me in their
Ferrari
decision-making
488
while paying
GTB.
market rates.
The combined
And if they
value was
refuse,
approximately
then they can get married at City Hall.
$750,000. I hung up and
Marcus
returned
stood
to my
frozen
work.
in my driveway, his mouth
3
hanging
hours
open.
later, Marcus called directly.
His carefully prepared lecture
David,
forgotten.
what the hell is going on?
What?
You're getting
How?
married. Where did
Congratulations.
you get these? I bought
Don't
them,
play games
I said
with me.
calmly, walking over to
Mom's
run my
been
hand
crying
along
all
the
day.
Ferrari's sleek surface.
Dad's had 6 phone calls
With what
different
money?
vendors, and everyone
You
keeps
work at a
telling him you
non-profit
own their
making
companies.
$35,000 a year.
What kind of sick joke
Marcus,
is this?
you're absolutely right.
It's not
that I
a
work
joke,
with underprivileged
Marcus.
children. It's business.
What you don't know
is that I don't work
Business?
for a non-profit organization.
This
I
is
own
my
several
wedding.
of them. Your wedding
What?
that I was financing.
Do you mean you own them?
Your wedding that I was uninvited
Future Minds
from.
Foundation,
Your
Digital
wedding
Dreams
that the
Initiative,
family
and
decided I
Technology
wasn't worthy
Access
to attend.
Alliance.
We thought it
Combined,
would be
we
better.
serve over 15,000
You
children
thought it would be
annually
better to
across
exclude your
23
brother
states.
from the most important day of your
Marcus
life
was
while
still
secretly
staring at the
keeping
cars,
the money he
his brain
contributed.
trying to process what he was
Does that
seeing.
sound like family behavior
But that
to
doesn't
you?
explain how you can afford
Marcus was
because
quiet
those
for a
foundations
moment.
are funded by my primary
We didn't
business,
know the money
the
came
one you've
from
never
you.
bothered to ask about
Mom
despite
asked me
dismissing
for
it
help
as computer
months ago.
projects for the past 8 years.
She said you were struggling with
I
wedding
pulled out my
costs
phone
and Jennifer's
and showed him the
family
app
couldn't
I'd been working
contribute
on during
much.
family gatherings.
I
the
wrote
one
a
they all
check for
thought would be playing
$50,000
with
that
technology.
same day. Digital
David,
learning dynamics.
I didn't know.
We create
You didn't
comprehensive
know because you
educational
never
software
asked.
platforms for schools.
Just like you never asked about my
corporations
business,
and government agencies.
my life, or anything else.
Our annual revenue last
You
year
just
was
assumed I was the
$67 million.
family screws.
Up and moved on. Marcus's face
That's
went
not
completely
true.
white. Marcus,
He grabbed
when
onto
was
his
the last
Porsche
time you
for
asked
support.
me a genuine question about my life?
$67,067,3
When was the last time any of you showed
with a
actual
net
interest
profit of
in what?
$31.8 million?
I do.
The
We have
line
active
was quiet.
contracts with
I'll make you a deal.
1,247
I
school
continued.
districts, 89
You
Fortune
can have your wedding
500
at one of my
companies,
venues,
and
but I
12
want
government
3 things.
agencies. A formal
I opened the
apology
hood of
from
the
the entire
Lamborghini,
family,
revealing
an
the
acknowledgement
Christian
that you
V10
misjudged
engine.
me, and my
This
invitation
particular
restored.
car cost
Not as a courtesy,
$267,000,
but because you
$1,000.
actually want me there. I paid cash
David,
because I
of
don't.
course,
we want you there.
believe in
do you?
financing luxury items.
Or do you want my money there?
You paid cash for
That's
all 3
not fair.
cars.
The
Fair.
Aston Martin was
You uninvited your own brother from your
$198,000
wedding
while keeping his
The
financial
Ferrari was
contribution.
$280,000.
Explain to me what's fair about that.
I also paid cash for
Marcus
this
sighed
house,
heavily,
which I had completely
What
renovated
happens
and
if we
expanded
don't agree
last
to your
year.
terms? Marcus looked
Then you
around my
figure out how
property
to
with
have
new
a wedding
eyes,
with 3 weeks
suddenly
notice
noticing
and no
details he'd
connections in
missed.
the industry.
The driveway.
Good luck with that.
Wasn't just
And
concrete.
if we do agree,
It was decorative
then you get
pavers
married
that
at a
probably
beautiful
cost
venue with excellent
$15,000,
service,
and your brother stands
the
beside you as
landscaping
family
wasn't simple. I need to talk to Jennifer and our parents.
Maintained. Of course
The
you do.
garage wasn't standard.
That evening, my
It
phone
was
rang
oversized
again.
and climate-controlled.
This time it was Jennifer Marcus'
Emma,
fiancé.
I don't understand.
David, it's
If
Jennifer.
you have this much money, why
I
do you
think
live
we
so
need to
normally?
talk.
Because I value
Congratulations on your
substance over
engagement.
appearances.
Thank you.
Because I'd rather invest in my business
I had no
and my
idea about
charitable
any
work
of this.
than in impressing people at country
Marcus
clubs.
never told me you were helping with costs,
and I certainly
Honda gets excellent gas
didn't know
mileage,
about your
is
businesses,
reliable, and doesn't make me a target
Most
for
people
theft
don't.
or carjacking.
I've been doing
It's
research
practical
all
daily
afternoon.
transportation.
Sterling
I
Hospitality
walked him
Group
around
is
to the
huge.
side of the garage where he could
You
see
own
into
half
my
the
home
venues
office
I
through a
dreamed of
large
having
window.
my wedding at when I was growing up.
Inside was a technology
It's been
setup
a good
that would make
few
most
years.
corporations jealous.
David, I owe you
12
an
large
apology.
monitors arranged.
We all do.
Across 3 workstations,
I was there when your
servers
parents
humming
decided
quietly
not
in a
to invite you.
climate-controlled rack, and
I
equipment
should
worth
have
at least
spoken up.
$150,000.
Why didn't?
This
You
is where I
honestly?
built digital learning dynamics.
Because Marcus painted you as
This
the
is where I
irresponsible
manage
brother
contracts
who
worth
never got
tens
his
of
act
millions of
together.
dollars.
I believed
This is
him.
where I design educational
And
programs
now
that are
I
transforming
realize
how
that
children
Marcus
learn
doesn't
technology
actually
skills.
know you at all.
Marcus
None of
pressed
them
his
do.
face against the window.
Jennifer
staring at the
paused, and I could hear
sophisticated,
emotion in her voice.
set up.
David,
But you
I
never
would be
said
honored
anything.
to have you at our wedding.
You let us all think
Not
you were
because
just
of your
doing charity
businesses
work
or your money,
but because you're
I'm
Marcus'
doing
brother
charity
and you
work.
clearly care about family
That's
more.
the point you're missing.
Then the rest of them
My
realize
business generates enough profit
what
that
does
I
Marcus
can fund
say?
extensive charitable programs
Marcus
while
is still building
processing.
personal wealth.
He's realizing
My
that
phone
his
rang,
big brother
interrupting
isn't
our
who he thought he
conversation.
was.
I
It's a
glanced
lot
at the
to take
screen
in.
and saw it was Dr.
And
Sarah
your
Chin
parents,
from
they're
Harvard
scared.
University. They've spent
Excuse
years
me,
treating you
I
like
need
the
to take
family.
this.
Disappointment,
Hello?
Dr. Chin. And now they're learning you're
Emma,
probably the
excellent
most
news.
successful person in the room
The
at any
university
gathering.
board has approved your proposal.
Success isn't just about money.
Harvard will be implementing digital
No,
learning
but
dynamics
respect should be
across
about
all our computer
recognizing when
science
someone
and
deserves it.
education programs starting
And
next.
clearly, you've deserved it for
Semester.
a long
Time.
Marcus' eyes widened as
The
he
next
read the
day,
caller ID
Amanda
on
called
my
with
phone
an
screen.
update. That's
Mr. Sterling,
fantastic.
your family has
Dr.
accepted
Chin.
your terms.
What's the contract
They've
value?
paid the deposit for the Grandview Manor package,
$12.7 million
and they formally
over 4
requested
years
that
with
your
automatic
invitation be
renewal
restored.
options.
Did they
This
agree
will be
to
the
all
largest
the conditions?
educational technology
Yes,
contract in Harvard's
sir.
history.
Your father
I'm
specifically asked me to tell
My
you that the
development
family
team
would
will
like
begin customization
to meet with you
immediately.
before the wedding to offer
After
a
I
formal
hung up,
apology.
Marcus was staring at me
And
like
your
I was a
brother wants to
complete
know
stranger.
if you'd consider being his best
Harvard
man.
University.
I sat back in
You
my
just
chair
signed a
looking out at the
$12 million
city skyline
contract
again.
with Harvard, one of
8
many.
years of building an empire.
We also
while my
have
family
active
saw only
contracts
failure.
with Stanford, MIT,
8 years
Yale,
of trying to share
Princeton,
my
and
success
Caltech.
while they all the
Heard
Ivy
only
League schools,
excuses.
most of them, plus
8
major
years of
state
proving
universities,
myself while they
community
waited for me to grow
colleges,
up.
and specialized
Amanda.
institutions.
Yes,
Education
sir.
is a $750
Tell them we'll
billion
have the meeting.
industry, Marcus. Schedule it for this Saturday
Technology
at the
spending in
Harborview Resort
education
grows
my
by
private dining
15%
room.
annually. And Amanda,
I unlocked
yes.
my phone.
Make sure the
And showed him
catering
our
is client
perfect.
dashboard. The meeting
These
was
are our
scheduled
current
for 2
active
p.m. on
contracts.
Saturday. Total
I
value
arrived early and stood by the
$347
floor
million
toseling
over the
windows
next 5
overlooking
years.
the harbor.
Marcus
This
sat
resort
down
had
heavily
been my
on my
biggest
decorative
acquisition
stone
of
retaining
failing,
wall,
looking like he might faint.
property that I'd transformed into the region's premier
$347 million
destination.
in confirmed.
The private dining room alone
Contracts
was worth more than most people's
Yes,
homes.
we also have $89
My
million
family
in
arrived
pending
together.
proposals and
Mom,
$156
Dad,
million
Marcus,
in renewal
and Jennifer.
options.
They looked
Emma,
around the
how
room
long have you
with
been doing
obvious
this?
amazement. I started
Crystal
digital learning
chandeliers,
dynamics
hand-carved
9
furniture,
years ago,
a view
the
that
summer
stretched
after
for
I
miles
graduated
across
from
the water.
MIT.
MIT?
David, Dad said,
You went to
extending his hand
MIT?
formally.
Full.
Thank you for meeting with
Academic
us.
scholarship
Plus
have
a
a
research
seat.
fellowship,
They
master's in
settled
computer
around the
science
mahogany
with a
table as
specialization
servers
in
brought in.
educational technology.
Lunch prepared by the
Marcus
same
put his
kitchen
head
that
in his
catered to
hands.
governors and celebrities.
We all thought you went to State
This
University
place is incredible.
because when I tried
Mom
to tell
said
you about
quietly.
MIT,
I had no
Dad
idea
interrupted
that I
to
owned
talk
it.
about your law school
I
graduation
mentioned buying
and
a
the
resort
conversation
property
never
3
came
years
back to
ago.
my education. You said you were
I walked
expanding
over
your
to the
business
Ferrari
and opened the
I
driver's
was.
door.
Would
This
you
was
like
the
to see the rest
expansion.
of the property?
Dad cleared his
There
throat.
are some other things you might
David,
find interesting.
we owe you.
There's more.
An apology. I started the
A
Ferrari.
major one.
The engine
Go
roared to
ahead.
life with a sound that
We misjudged you badly.
probably woke half the neighborhood
For
and
years,
gestured for
we
Marcus
saw what we
to follow
expected
me
to
in
see
his
instead
Porsche.
of what was actually happening.
We drove around to the back of
Marcus
my property
leaned
where what
forward.
appeared to be a small guest house
David,
sat among
I'm
mature
sorry.
oak trees. I'm sorry
What's
for
that
dismissing
building?
your achievements,
For
my
assuming you
primary
were
development
irresponsible,
facility,
and
for letting the family
The home
uninvite you
office
from my
is for
wedding.
routine administrative work.
Why did you assume I was
This
irresponsible?
is where we create the actual software
Because you dropped
product.
out
out of Harvard. I used a
Because
key
you
card
never
to open
had
the
a building,
traditional,
revealing a state-of-the-art
job.
technology laboratory.
Because you never bragged about
That
your
looked like
success.
something from a major
Would
corporation's
bragging
R&D
have helped?
department. No.
Marcus walked through the facility in complete bewilderment,
direct about
looking
what you
at
were
servers,
building.
development workstations,
I smiled
testing
slightly.
equipment, and prototyping
Marcus,
stations
I told
worth
you
more
3
than
years
most
ago
people's
that I'd
annual
acquired a
salaries.
hotel chain.
This lab
You
cost
said,
$3.8
"That's
million to build
and
change the
equip."
subject to your latest
I
case at the
explained.
law firm. We develop
I
and
didn't
test
realize
all
you
our
meant you owned
educational
them.
software here before
What did you
deployment.
think I meant?
You built a
You had no
$3.8 million
answer.
laboratory behind
Jennifer
your house.
spoke up.
I needed
David,
a secure
we'd like
private
to start
development
over.
environment. All of us,
Commercial
we want
real
to know
estate
about your
would have
life,
been more
your
expensive
business,
and less
your
convenient.
plans.
We
Marcus
want to be
stopped
real
in front of a
family.
wall covered with patents,
And if I hadn't
awards,
turned out to be
and
wealthy,
certificates. Then,
what are all these?
Dad answered
Patents
honestly.
for
various educational
Then we
technology
probably would have
innovations.
continued
misjudging you. Awards from the Department
what
of
makes this
Education,
so
the
shameful.
National Science Foundation,
At least
and
you're
various
honest.
educational organizations.
Mom had tears in her
certifications
eyes.
for security, accessibility,
I'm proud
and
of you.
educational effectiveness.
I'm proud of what you've built.
He pointed to a framed
But
certificate.
more than that.
Is that
I'm
you?
proud that you still wanted to
With
help with the wedding even after
the
how we
Secretary
treated
of
you.
Education, last
You're
year's
my
National
family.
Education Technology
That matters to
Conference,
me even
Digital
when it
Learning
doesn't seem to
Dynamics,
matter to
won
you.
the Innovation Award for our
Marcus
adaptive
stood up
learning
and
algorithms.
walked around the
table. Marcus
David,
studied the wall
I
more
know I
carefully.
don't deserve it,
but I'd like to
Reading
ask
award
again. After award, would you be my best
Outstanding
contribution to
I looked at my
educational
younger
technology?
brother.
The
Golden
entrepreneur
Child
of the
who'd
Year
followed
to every
technology
family
sector.
expectation, who'd never
Innovation
taken a
Leadership
risk or
Award.
built something from nothing. Educational excellence
For the first time,
recognition. I saw uncertainty in
Emma,
his eyes.
why have
He was
you
finally
never shown
seeing
us
me
any of
clearly.
this?
Marcus,
When would I have
I'd be
shown you?
honored.
The
Every
wedding
family
took
gathering is spent listening
place
to you
3
and
weeks
Victoria
later.
at
Describe
the
your
Grandview
accomplishments
while dismissing mine
Despite
as
being my
unimportant
smallest
hobby
venue,
work. It was still
I
spectacular.
sat down at
one of the development
overlooking the
workstations
coastline
and
with
logged into our
gardens that had
company
been featured in
dashboard. Architectural magazines.
These are our
the family that had once dismissed
real-time
my party
business
planning
metrics.
business watched in amazement as
Currently,
my staff
1.3
executed
million
a flawless
students
celebration.
are
actively using our learning
During my
platforms.
best
man speech. Our software is
I looked
deployed
out
in
at the
47
200
states
guests,
and 18
many of whom had
countries.
heard
whispered conversations
Today's
about
revenue
my business
will be
empire
approximately
throughout the evening.
$290,000
When
per
Marcus
day.
and I were kids, I
Per
began.
day.
He
Which
always
means that
looked
while
up
you
to
were
me.
lecturing me about getting a real
Somewhere
job,
along the
we
way,
earned more than
that
most people
changed.
make in 5 years.
He started seeing me
Marcus
as the brother
stared
who
at the
took
numbers
wrong
scrolling
path,
across
who
my
gave up on
monitors.
conventional success.
Active users
completed
paused,
lessons,
making
revenue
eye contact
streams,
with my
profit
family.
margins. What Marcus
And
didn't
the
realize
charitable
is that I
work.
never gave up on success.
I opened another application.
I just defined it differently.
Future Minds Foundation has
Success
donated
isn't about meeting other
$18.7
people's
million
expectations to educational programs
It's
over the
about
past
building
5
something
years.
meaningful and sharing
We've
it with
built
the people you
47
love.
computer laboratories
I
in
raised my
underserved
glass
schools,
to Marcus
provided
and
full
Jennifer.
college scholarships.
May you build something
to
beautiful together, and may you
156
always
students, and trained over 800 remember that the teachers
best
in
achievements
advanced
are the
technology
ones you
skills.
share
with family.
Later,
$18.7
as the
million
evening wound
in
down,
direct charitable
Dad approached
giving.
me on the terrace.
Yes, David,
Plus
I have
the
the donated
question.
time and software licenses.
Sure, why
which
didn't you
adds
just
another
tell us?
$23 million in
Why
value.
let us
think you were struggling
Marcus
all these
was
years?
quiet
for a long time.
A
Just
mahogany
absorbing the
paneled
scope of
conference
what I
room
built.
at
Mitchell Stone and Associates
country
exuded
club,
the
he
scent of
said
wealth
finally.
and hidden rivalries. What about it? I settled into the
When
chair
Mrs.
farthest
Henderson
from the
asked
head of the
about your
table,
work and you
observing
said you
my
worked in
cousins arrange
educational
themselves as if
technology,
posing for
I was
a family.
being accurate.
Portrait
I do work
destined
in
for a
educational
country club.
technology,
But you made
Derek,
it sound so
35
small and
so
still relying
unimportant.
on his trust fund. I
claimed
made
the
it
seat
sound
nearest
honest to Mr. Mitchell, our
I didn't
grandmother's
feel the
lawyer.
need
to announce my net worth
His
to
sister
someone I
Vanessa
barely know.
sat
beside him, viewing
What is
work
your
as
net
managing
worth?
her Instagram and planning
I considered
charity.
the
question carefully. Galas she never executed.
Between the business valuation,
my aunt
real
Patricia,
estate
holdings,
their mother,
investment
perched at
portfolio,
Derek's right like
and
a
liquid
hawk watching
assets,
her prey.
approximately $94
For
million.
years,
She circled Grandma Rose's
Marcus
fortune,
made a choking
hinting at the
sound.
need for responsible family
$94
members
million
and bloodline duties. It fluctuates
Across
based
from them,
on market
my other
conditions
cousins,
and business
Bradley and
performance,
Madison,
but yes,
whispered
that's the current
conspiratorially.
estimate. Occasionally glancing
Emma,
at me with
you're worth
barely $94 million
hidden disdain.
and we've been treating you like a charity
I'm
case.
Sophia Martinez,
the
you've been
family's
treating
letdown. Me
At
like someone
28,
whose work
I'm the
doesn't
granddaughter
matter
who
because
chose
it doesn't
social
produce
work over
visible
business
status,
school.
who drives a decade-old
My
Honda
phone buzzed
instead
with
of
a
leasing
text
luxury
message.
cars, who resides in
I
a modest
glanced at it
apartment
and
rather than the
smiled.
family estate. What is it? I spent summers
The
with Grandma
Department of
Rose while
Defense.
the
They
others
want to
attended
discuss
elite
adapting
camps
our
or European
educational
vacations
technology
they
for
endlessly
military
posted
training
about.
applications.
Well,
Potential
Derek
contract
said,
value,
adjusting his designer
$47 million
tie as I took my seat. The Pentagon,
Look who
decided to show up
wants to
after
hire
all.
you.
Vanessa
Educational
didn't even glance
technology
up from
and
her.
training technology
use
phone.
very similar frameworks.
I'm surprised you could get
Our
time off
adaptive
from.
learning
What is it
algorithms
you do again?
could revolutionize how the
Working with
military
homeless
trains
people?
personnel. Community
showed him the
development
text
message which included a request to schedule a meeting with senior officials at the Pentagon. They'd never cared to learn what my job government. entailed
defense
how I'd
contract.
spent years building programs
It
that
could
open up
transform
an
a
entirely
neighborhoods,
new market
how my
segment.
nonprofit had become a model
Marcus
for urban
looked around the
renewal across the
laboratory,
country.
finally understanding the
Right?
scale and sophistication
Bradley
of what I
chimed
built.
in,
His tone dripping
when
with
you were working on your
condescension.
laptop during family dinners,
Very noble.
I was usually reviewing contract
I'm sure
proposals,
Grandma Rose
managing
appreciated your
development
charitable
projects,
spirit,
or communicating with
Mr.
clients.
Mitchell, a distinguished
The
man
work
in his
doesn't stop
70s
just
who'd handled
because
the
it's
Whitmore
Sunday
family
dinner.
legal matters.
And when we told you
For decades, cleared
to
his
stop
throat
playing
and
with
organized
computers,
his papers.
you were telling a multimillionaire
The
CEO
Whitmore name
to
held
abandon
weight
the
in the
business
city
that was
both
generating
shipping
more
wealth
revenue
evolved
in a
into
month
real
than
estate
most people
investments
see in a
and
lifetime.
influence.
We walked
Grandma
back
Rose
towards the
had been the
house where
family
my 3
matriarch,
supercars
holding
sat
everything
gleaming in the
together.
garage like a very expensive
After
rebuke
Grandpa
to
died.
every assumption my family had
Thank
made
you
about
all
my
for
success.
gathering, Mr. Mitchell began,
Emma,
his
I
voice
owe you
carrying
the
the
biggest
moment's
apology of
importance.
my life. We're here to read
Yes,
Rose
you
Elizabeth
do.
Whitmore's last will and
We've
testament.
been
Completely
Aunt
wrong
Patricia
about
leaned
everything,
forward eagerly.
about your work, your success,
Yes,
your
well,
choices.
we all know.
You've been so
Rose was
focused on what
practical about
success looks
family
like from the
obligations.
outside that you never bothered to
I'm
find
sure
out
she
what it
made
actually
sensible
looks like on the
arrangements.
inside. Derek
nodded
nodded smugly.
smugly.
His
Grandma
red
always
Porsche,
liked us
which
better,
suddenly
he
seemed
said,
much less
shooting me a
impressive,
look.
parked next to my collection.
Don't get your hopes up.
Your
Sophia.
Honda is practical daily
This is about
transportation
family
that doesn't
legacy,
draw
not
unwanted
whatever you've been
attention
doing.
or make me a target for
I
theft.
remained silent,
When
recalling
I
the
want to
quiet
enjoy
afternoons
performance
in Grandma
driving,
Rose's
I have
garden,
options. Listening to her stories
and
about
your
building
house
the
is paid
family
for,
business,
customized to my needs,
how she
and
taught me
provides
to
the
invest my
privacy
small savings
and security
how she
necessary for
discreetly
running a
funded my college
multi-million-dollar
education when my
technology
parents
business.
couldn't afford it,
And your clothes
how she
are
was the
comfortable
only one
and
who
appropriate
believed in
for
my
my
work environment. The estate,
I don't
Mr.
need
Mitchell
designer
continued
labels to validate
includes
my
properties,
success.
My
Investments,
phone rang again.
business holdings, and
This
liquid
time
assets
it was my
totaling
CFO,
approximately
Janet
$50 million.
Rodriguez. Hi,
The
Janet.
room fell silent.
Emma, I wanted
Even
to
with
give
the
you the
family's
final
wealth,
numbers.
$50 million was
For
significant.
Q4, Vanessa
Revenue
finally
was
looked up from her
$21.4
phone.
million, up
Bradley and
43%
Madison
from
exchanged
last quarter.
glances.
Net profit
Derek's
was
grin widened.
$12.8 million.
Now, Mr. Mitchell said,
Marcus' jaw
adjusting
dropped
his
as
glasses.
he overheard the numbers.
Mrs. Whitmore was very
Excellent.
specific about her
What's
wishes.
our cash position?
She spent considerable time ensuring her
$31.7
will
million
reflected
in
not
liquid
just her family
assets,
relationships,
plus the $18
but her
million
values
in
and
the
observation
expansion
funds
fund.
about each of you.
Perfect.
Aunt Patricia
Go
sat up
ahead
straighter
and
authorized the new
Of
East
course,
Coast facility
Rose always
already
valued
in progress.
family tradition and
The
responsibility.
Boston Development Center will be
Indeed,
operational
she
by
did.
March.
Mr. Mitchell agreed.
After I hung up,
But something
Marcus
in his
was.
tone made me look up.
Staring at me with
Which
something
brings me to the
approaching
primary
all $31
bequest.
million in cash,
The entire
operating capital. Estate,
We maintain
properties,
significant
business
liquid
holdings,
assets to fund
investments,
expansion,
trust
and
funds,
a large
everything
development
goes to
projects,
the room
and
held
whether
its
any
breath.
economic downturns.
Derek's hand already
And you're
reached for
opening
his
another
phone,
facility,
probably to
our
call
third
his
major
financial
development
advisor.
center.
Vanessa
We have
wore
the
the
main
satisfied
facility
smile
here,
she
a
wore
secondary center in Austin,
when she got
and now
exactly
Boston.
what she expected. The East Coast
Goes to
location will
Sophia
help us
Elena
serve our Ivy
Martinez.
League clients more
The
effectively.
silence that followed was
Marcus
deafening.
sat down on my front steps,
Derek's phone
overwhelmed by
clattered
the
to the
scope of
table.
everything he'd learned. Vanessa's mouth
Emma,
fell open,
how can we
her
ever make
perfect
this up to
lipstick
you?
forming a small O of
How
shock.
can we apologize for years
Bradley's face cycled through
of treating
multiple
you like a failure when you were
colors
building an
before
empire?
settling on a deep purple. I considered his question
Madison
carefully.
looked as if she might faint.
You can start by understanding
Patricia
that
stood
success
up
comes
so
in many
abruptly,
different
her
forms.
chair
nearly toppled. You can stop
That's
judging people's
impossible,
worth
she
by their
stammered.
possessions. Rose would
And
never.
you can recognize that the most
She's not
successful
even a
people
Whitmore.
often don't need to advertise their
She's my
achievements.
granddaughter, Mr. Mitchell
What
said
else?
calmly, reading from the
You
will.
can acknowledge that my work
And
helping
according to
children
Mrs.
gain
Whitmore's
access to
written
technology
statement,
education
she's the only
is
one
not
who
just
understood
valid
what
but
family
vital.
truly means. The students. Derek found his voice
We
first,
serve today
though it
will
came
become
out
the
as
technology
croak.
leaders of tomorrow.
This is a mistake.
Done.
Grandma
Absolutely
she
done.
was probably confused,
And you
not
can
thinking
stop being
clearly.
embarrassed by my Honda.
Mrs. Whitmore was in perfect
It's a reliable
health and
car
sound
that
mind
serves
when
its
she
purpose
updated this
well.
will 6 months ago.
Marcus laughed.
Mr. Mitchell replied.
The first genuine laugh
She
I'd heard
also
from him
left
all day.
individual letters for each
I
of you.
promise never to complain about
He
your
began
Honda
distributing
again.
sealed envelopes.
My phone buzzed with a text.
Mine was thick cream-colored paper
From
with my name written
Victoria.
in Grandma Rose's careful
Marcus,
script. What's taking so long?
The others received thinner
Did you
envelopes.
finish explaining to Emma why
I
she
could
needs
hear
to get her
Vanessa
life
tearing
together?
hers
Open immediately.
I showed Marcus the message.
This can't be right, she said.
What should I
reading
tell her?
frantically. He asked.
She says,
Tell her
I
that I'll
never
be happy
visited
to
unless
discuss
I
my
needed
life
money.
choices at next month's family
Bradley was
gathering
reading
and
his
tell
letter.
her I might
His
drive
face
something
growing
different to
to
the
the
country
color.
club. She knew
Which
about
car
the
will you
gambling
take?
debts. I haven't
Madison's
decided
hands
yet.
trembled as she read the rehab
Maybe
note.
the Lamborghini. She knew about the
It's been a
prescription
pills. Since
Derek's
I took
letter
it out for
remained
a proper
unopened
drive.
in his shaking hands.
Marcus looked back at the garage.
Aunt Patricia,
where
three
sat back down
supercars
heavily,
worth $750,000
sat
at her
waiting.
envelope as if it might explode.
The family is going to be shocked.
I opened mine slowly.
Good. Grandma
Maybe
Rose's
next time
voice
they'll ask
seemed to speak
questions
from the
about people's
pages.
lives instead of making
My
assumptions.
dearest Sophia, if you're reading
As
this,
Marcus
then my
prepared to
family
leave,
has finally
he turned
learned
back
what
to
I've
me
known
one
for
more
years.
time, that true worth isn't
Emma,
measured in
can
bank
I ask
accounts
you
or
something
social
personal?
connections, but in character
Sure.
and compassion.
When I was shouting at
While
you
your
about your
cousins
car
were
being embarrassing,
what were
learning
you
to spend
thinking?
money, you were learning
I
to help
smiled,
people. Remembering my exact
While they
thoughts
were
from
networking
3
at
hours
country
earlier,
clubs,
you were building
I
community
was thinking
centers.
that you cared more about impressing
While they saw our
strangers
family
at a country
name as
club
an
than you did
entitlement,
about
you saw it
understanding
as a
your own sister's
responsibility.
accomplishments.
The others will
And
be.
now I'm thinking that
Shocked,
maybe this
but you
family
won't
can
be.
learn to value substance
You've
over
always known this
appearances.
day would come, not
Marcus
because I
got back
promised you
into his
anything,
Porsche,
but
which
because
looked
you were the only
significantly
one who
less
never asked
impressive
for
than it had
anything.
when he'd followed me home.
My eyes filled with
Emma,
tears
yes.
as I continued reading. Thank you for not
The
giving up on
nonprofit
us,
you think
even
is
when we
struggling?
gave up on you.
As I watched his tail
Been your
lights
anonymous
disappear
donor
down
for
Millbrook
5
Drive,
years.
I realized that sometimes
community
the best
center
response
you're
to
trying to
judgment isn't
save.
argument or explanation.
I bought the building and placed it in
Sometimes
trust
it's
for your
simply letting
organization.
people follow you home and discover
The
how wrong
scholarship
their
fund you
assumptions
started
have
with your own savings?
I've been
My
matching
phone
every
started
donation
ringing
10
almost
to 1.
immediately.
You thought you
First,
were working with
Victoria,
limited resources,
then Mom,
but
then
you were
Dad.
actually managing a
Marcus had
multi-million-dollar
clearly
operation,
made some urgent
and
phone
you did it
calls.
brilliantly. I let them
The
all
room
go to
erupted
voicemail.
into chaos.
Tomorrow would be
Derek
soon
was
enough for
pacing and
conversations
shouting
about
respect,
contesting the will,
success,
and the difference
Vanessa
between
was
appearing
crying,
wealthy
her
and
mascara
actually being
creating
wealthy.
dark streaks down her cheeks.
But tonight, I was going to
Aunt
take the
Patricia
Ferrari
demanded
for a
to
drive
speak
through
to
the
Mr.
city
Mitchell
with all its
privately.
windows down. But I was still
And its
reading,
engine singing
discovering
just because I could.
that every project
After
I'd
all,
struggled
when
to
you've
fund,
built a
every
$94
program
million
I thought I was
fortune
building
by
from
age
scratch
31
had
while
been quietly
simultaneously
supported by
running
the woman
charitable
who believed in
programs
me
that
when
had
no
helped
one else did.
15,000 children, you've
There's
earned the
more,
right to enjoy your
sweetheart.
success, even if
The family business isn't
you
just
prefer
real
to keep
estate
it quietly
anymore.
parked in an unassuming
Over the
garage.
past decade, I've been